Hey everyone, this is Ash Ajaz, the people's broker for wrestling life, and this is a reactionary video. I just thought I'd come on here to talk about this because it's one of the hottest topics going on right now if you follow wrestling news. Normally, I like to do news and reactions about something positive, and for my very first one, I didn't want to talk about this negative story, but we're going to try and put a positive spin on it. So, for those of you who've been following this, it's just this is in regards to the recent interview Bill Goldberg did with Real Talk and his comments about Asuka, and then Asuka's response to Bill Goldberg's comments. So before I get into it, let's just kind of recap of he said, she said type of thing. So I'll go through that with you and I'll tell you exactly what Bill Goldberg said. So just to kind of, so exactly what Goldberg said is he was asked about the streak and things like that. So his response was, they already did it, some girl at WWE. They did it on purpose. I have nothing against the girl by any means, but yeah, the whole WWE experience. I was part of WCW when we were kicking their ass in the Monday Night Wars. I didn't know what was going on at the time. I was just on one of the sides. Now one side dissolves and the other side is consumed. Everything so they can treat everyone and everything the way they want. So bit of a very negative thing, and he says some girl, obviously referring to Asuka, doesn't even say her name, because as you guys know, Asuka was undefeated in WWE. She debuted in 2014, and she was undefeated until 2018, and she surpassed Bill Goldberg's streak of 173 and 0. Um, but before I get into like what my thoughts are and things like that, let me just quickly read you the response Asuka had in regards to, and in something like this, people would react very negatively, but she gave a response. Her response was very classy and very positive, which impressed me about Asuka. So I'm just summarizing because it's a pretty long comment what she said. But to summarize what she says, Bill Goldberg's comments about me are all over the news right now. But honestly, I'm not bothered by that. And she said that that's his own perspective. She said, listen to my philosophy. It's not about what I accomplish, it's about what I try to create. And then she talks about, I've achieved every record, every title, but those are just milestones. What really matters to me is opening new era, so just creating the moment, and that separates before Asuka, after Asuka. And she says that I don't chase records or championships. They are the ones that come to me. There's not enough art in this world. And she talks about that wrestling is an art form for her, and she's more interested in making art rather than making records, and be upset by that. And she says in the end that Goldberg's comments about me are all over the news right now. But honestly, I'm not bothered by it. And she kind of carries on. So there's really no need to make such a big deal out of it, and listen to my philosophy. So very classy response. So, firstly, the reason I wanted to talk about this news is the people that are involved, Goldberg and Asuka. So, Goldberg is someone, we loved watching growing up as wrestling fan. Now, I was always a WWF fan. I was always watching Raw, not Nitro. But Goldberg was one guy that captured my attention. I switched over to, and the streak, I switched over to WCW just to check it out. I'm like, who's this Goldberg guy, that my friends and people talk about? And especially when he was going up against Hulk Hogan, I tuned into Nitro. That was the first time I probably tuned into Nitro and watched it. Seeing him beat Hall to get a title shot against Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and beating Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and his winning streak continued on, and he had this winning streak of 173 and 0 until Kevin Nash ended it. Um, So it was an amazing storyline. We loved Goldberg, and even afterwards when he debuted in WWF, the way he was presented in WWE at the time. Now, then he disappeared, and then even when he came back, and he beat Brock Lesnar in the squash match. So it's always like Goldberg always brought that reaction out of me, and I always tuned in to watch Goldberg. Like, what is Goldberg gonna do? And even his retirement recently, the retirement he did with Gunther, I felt like it was a bit rushed, and so that was that. But Asuka, on the other hand, so full disclosure, I've never been into women's wrestling. Part of it could be that late 90s wrestling, my parents weren't really approve of me watching it, and obvious reasons how women were presented in wrestling in the late 90s up until maybe, I don't know, NXT time. And Asuka debuted in NXT, and Asuka and the way she debuted, I mean, I was hooked on NXT anyways, but I got into the women's wrestling and watching her and her matches, like the storytelling and just amazing. Her, kind of her matches, her storylines and stuff. And it was every time it was her streak, like, and she went undefeated champion. And then she went on to the main roster and she was an undefeated champion in NXT, which never happened. And because she continued on her winning streak until 2018, until she lost against Charlotte Flair. She won the first ever women's Royal Rumble. So great accomplishment. But WWF, WWE didn't make a big deal about her streak as compared to Goldberg. His streak was actually, it was a storyline. I mean, and it's well documented. You know, I've had wrestlers talk in various interviews and stuff like that. The reality of that streak, what it was, how gimmicked it was, and things like, someone made a joke that maybe he was having two or three dark matches every day because he would have I don't know, he would be 50-0 on Nitro, and then on Thunder he would be, I don't know, suddenly 60-0, and in the next week on Nitro he'll be 65-0. So he's like, where were all these dark matches taking place? So we know the reality of that streak. But despite all that, we loved it. We enjoyed it. We were all behind it. We loved Goldberg. It just seems to me now Goldberg's comments is coming out and he's saying stuff like this. He seems a bit annoyed. I don't know why, because this was like 7 years ago. It's not like Asuka has broken his streak yesterday and WWE made a big deal about it. It just happened. They could have made a big deal about it, but they didn't. But he seemed to be really annoyed about this somehow. I think he's annoyed about the whole thing. Maybe the way his retirement was handled this year. Maybe, everything that has happened the way it has. So it's a bit bizarre. It's a bit disappointing for Goldberg, and I don't know why he's so sour about this. Whether there's something going on between him and WWE, we don't know. Probably, I think it's to do with retirement, the way they handled it, and that's what people are saying. But then in the interview, he also says something about the reason WWE decided to end this record or break his streak is because he was one of the WCW guys, and as WCW guys, you'll always be treated as a second grade wrestler. I mean, and we've seen this. We've seen the way WCW talent got treated when they came over to WWE, how they made to look stupid, how they were, you know, buried and squashed. Not all of them, but quite a bit of them. I mean, people refer back to the way initially how Booker T and Buff Bagwell was treated when they first came over. Maybe when the Radicals came over, they all got squashed and beaten. And even like the treatment of Sting, the absolute icon of WCW, and how he was booked in WWE. So it's a bit, you know, maybe he's kind of referring to that, but Goldberg was one guy from WCW who came over who got treated like Goldberg was, larger than life, and I think he's done really well for himself in WWE. But for him to now speak like this, I don't understand. I don't know what's going on, what's happening, why he's reacting this way, why he's just still annoyed about this whole thing and suddenly referring to Asuka in this streak. But on the other hand, I give credit to Asuka for her character and the way she has responded. She's being respectful. A lot of times people can have, like, sometimes even this for the sake of clickbait, they can kind of do like a nasty tweet in response, and then it can kind of like blow out just to be in the news. But Asuka says, you know what? I don't need that. I am happy where I am. I've accomplished everything, and what I'm doing is for the love of the sport. And after this, my respect for Asuka has gone up even further. And I just hope now maybe WWE use this to perhaps maybe push her more, because I haven't really followed WWE product in the recent years, but I don't think they've done much with Asuka. She's so talented. She should be like the in the main storylines. She should be like the champion. She should be the top. So that's where we are, with everything, and this is what I was just thinking. So I just thought I'd come on because of the people involved. I don't know if you've been following this news. I don't know what your thoughts are. Are you siding with Goldberg, or do you agree with what Goldberg says and the way WWE has treated him and the streak thing and whatever? Or do you think he's a bit being a bit petty, or he's still a bit annoyed about the whole thing and the way his retirement was handled, and now he's continue on, and he's gonna always try and complain and moan every opportunity he gets. And also let me know what you think of the way Asuka has responded to Goldberg. So let me know in the comments, like this video, subscribe to our channel, Wrestling Life. There's some amazing content, and also help the channel out by becoming a member. Thank you for watching, guys, and I look forward to your comments to this video. Thank you.